Oh, you damn right. You know what we always say, recruiting never stops. It's the recruiting hour for this week. Hope you're having a good one. It's also a very important day portal wise. If you're a Longhorn fan, or I guess technically if you're a Penn State fan, there's a championship game coming up, and we're going to get you the very latest on all of it. Glad you are with us. I'm Chad Hastings. That is Jason Sukamel of orangebloods.com. We both got the green.
Hey, look at this.
Right. That's it. Shades of Green memo. Everybody is in and ready to go. We are going to start off talking about a badass 5-star in the 2026 class and whether or not the Longhorns have a shot. It's pretty easy to say you have a shot if he has visited a couple times. We will get into all of that and get you some other bits and pieces and nuggets from Jason's 321 article. But first, let's tell you about our great sponsor. You see it right there at the bottom, new banner, the Longhorn Wealth Management Group. Let's go ahead and show you a Longhorn along with John Donovan. Technically, that's two Longhorns in one. You got the Longhorn on the right, and the Longhorn on the left is a Texas X's Life member, his wife, his 6 siblings. They're all UT grads. He has a UT family passion, and that's what led him to brand the firm Longhorn Wealth Management Group and dedicate it to providing investment, retirement, insurance, and estate planning services and solutions to Longhorn families and friends across the nation for, get this, over 30 years. Since he's a big Longhorn, obviously, he is disappointed like all of you are in the loss at the Cotton Bowl, but he is proud of the Longhorns for that 13-3 season, back-to-back semifinal playoff appearances, and to celebrate that success, he's offering all Orange Bloods fans a free 90-minute private consultation to show you how a certified financial planner like John can help you succeed financially by maximizing your wealth, minimizing your taxes, and that always sounds like a good idea, and securing your legacy. So you can call John and the team at Longhorn Wealth at 972-707-4900. See the number right there. Or you can go online. You also see that at longhornwealth.net to schedule your free 90-minute private consultation. John and the crew at Longhorn Wealth Management Group want to send along a big hook'em to all of y'all. And again, coming off of that crazy game with Ohio State, might be something to think about as your 2025 gets started. All right, Jason, let's get started here with, I love when we're talking about the best of the best, not just in the state, but best of the best in the country. And I love it when I go to those rivals, I go to Orange Bloods and I see those rivals rankings and I see a 1 at the position. That's always kind of cool to me. So let's start with one of those guys. I think we've mentioned him before on the show. He is linebacker Tyler Atkinson. For the folks that don't know, that need to know this name, fill us in here.
Yeah, they need to start remembering that name. He's already visited Texas twice. I talked to Tyler. I talked to his dad. He likes Texas quite a bit. Now, he's a 5-star player. He's the number 1 outside linebacker in the country. He's at the Loganville Grayson High School in Georgia, where Nick Brooks, Texas signee, new freshman enrollee, Nick Brooks is from. So, there's some connections there. And again, like you said it, the key part is he's already visited Texas a couple times. He wants to get back maybe this spring if possible, maybe even for junior day in a couple weeks. I don't think that's going to work out, but maybe in the spring for sure. I think for an official visit, he told me, he said, hey, I really want to get there and sit down with the Texas coaches and like go over film and like how I'd really fit. But he's a phenomenal prospect, Chad. I was thinking about this. Like he's number 11 in the country overall. Okay. Overall player in the country for the 2026 class. Anthony Hill, and we all know how good Anthony Hill is, right? Mm-hmm. He was number 22 in the country.
Wow.
So
Atkinson's what now? He was 22. Atkinson's what?
Number 11.
Yeah. Wow.
Like in terms of pure linebackers, I'd have to go back and think. Like, I mean, Sergio Kindle wasn't really a pure linebacker. I don't know that Texas has signed. I mean, maybe Derek Johnson way back in the day, a guy that's as highly ranked as what Tyler Atkinson is right now. He was down at the Navy All-American Bowl. I got to watch him move and run around down there, and he does. He covers ground in a hurry. But yeah, a really good player. We can dig a little deeper into him. But he really likes Texas. Texas obviously really likes him. Pretty open at this point. But Texas is definitely a team to watch there.
Yeah, and again, number one outside linebacker in the country to a lot of services. And you mentioned the Nick Brooks connection. I always think that could matter. I mean, I guess it's possible that just because you're a teammate with somebody doesn't mean you like them or doesn't mean you. But I'm assuming there's communication there. I know we've seen that through the years. When you've got a teammate that is signing, then you're comparing notes, right, on how you're being treated, how you're being talked to, what the description is. And it definitely sounds like Atkinson is feeling the love from Texas, and why not, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, and that's more from the Texas staff. I mean, you got to remember, Nick Brooks only was at Grayson for 1 year. Okay, he transferred there before his senior year. And if we're being honest, Grayson High School, they're such a power program. They probably got guys all over the place. So he's probably talking. He's probably getting his ear bent by former teammates that are all over. Now, you got to figure Georgia's going to be a major factor there, right? But I asked him. I said, "Hey, how hard would it be?" You know, he wants to go visit Oregon before this February dead period. I said, how hard would it be for a school like Texas or Oregon or any of these hundreds of other schools recruiting you? And he goes, man, I don't really care about location. It's not that important to me. So, you know, Georgia will be a factor. This will be a traditional, this will be a new wave of 5-star type recruitments where you're going to have all the heavy hitters after him. NIL is going to be important, playing time. I mean, all those things. But, you know, if you look at Texas and their depth charts, especially with Anthony Hill, possibly this being his last year, they've got a lot to sell and a lot to offer for Tyler Atkinson. So you're right. The Nick Brooks connection can't hurt, Chad, but I don't think that's going to be the end-all be-all by any means. I think Tyler Atkinson will do what's best for himself. And in talking to him, and I've talked to his dad, they're pretty knowledgeable about how this all is going to work. They're not just going to just jump at something on a whim. I mean, they're going to really do their research in terms of style, in terms of personnel that's on the roster, scheme, how he would fit, relationship with coaches. I think academics will probably come into play on this one. And then, you know, the obvious NIL will come into play as well.
So again, Tyler Atkinson definitely on the target list for Texas for 2026. We're going to talk about a couple other guys here coming up as well. Jason, just to kind of reiterate too, as we continue to talk about, you know, junior days and that kind of season coming up, is that the type of thing where, because now we're into the cycle where, let's see, the 2026 guys are about to be seniors, right? So as we get to those junior day discussions, is that going to be all 2027 guys, or do some of the 2026 guys factor in as well?
No, it'll be mostly 2026. And I mean, some of the, you know, the booby feaster types that everybody wants. I mean, there'll be some 2027s, but these junior days, in Texas has their first one actually 10 days from now on the 25th. I say their first one, it's probably their only one because they've got that one, and they could have something the following weekend, that very first weekend of February. Like, let me pull up my calendar. Was that February 1st and 2nd? Yeah, 1st and 2nd is actually a possibility. But then after that, it's dead period, all of February. So yes, the junior day that Texas currently has locked in is on the 25th. You may see a couple guys visit here and there. Maybe some guys visit that following weekend. You may even see somebody pop in this coming weekend. But right now, their big event is January 25th. And it'll be focused on 2026 guys and kind of, you know, guys they've already hosted before, guys like Tyler Atkinson and a couple other guys we'll talk about, and then just kind of, you know, re-solidifying their position with those guys. And then you do what you do, you build that relationship and see if you can lock them up in the long run.
Yeah. So when we talk about those, these are some of the names we're kind of be listening for about who may be visiting, who would be visiting, who may not be visiting on those junior days. It is the recruiting hour today. There will also not be a specific house divided today. So it's going to kind of combine again. Jeff Ketchum traveling to Austin today for some meetings. So we'll kind of have a crossover effect on this show today. We'll get into the portal discussion. Today is the last day Texas players can get into the portal. So we'll have that discussion, and we are going to hit a couple more big recruiting names coming up here in just a second as well. We'll also continue to thank all of our great partners here at Orange Bloods Live. Let me hit you with one of my favorites, and it is Hays City Store. Now that you are past the season and maybe you're looking for a great place to go just grab a bite and chill out, man, Hays City Store is a great place. It's out in Driftwood. FM 150. I always say, don't be in a hurry. going out to Hayes City Store. If you live like within a mile of it, you know what I'm talking about out there. You're out in the beautiful hill country, but it's not a thing you want to be hurrying to. Make sure you have time. Make sure you get your reservation, because a lot of folks dig Hayes City Store, and you'll go find out why. Just start with a basic. If you love chicken fried steak, it's about the best damn chicken fried steak I've ever had in my life. And their cream gravy, I would fight you for. If you try to take that side of cream gravy off my plate, I will elbow you somewhere to get it back. It's incredible. Hayes City Store. Tell Travis, Tamara, and the crew that we said hey here at Orange Bloods Live. All right. In terms of the 321 article, we always tell you a lot of times on the recruiting hour, we're drawing from that 321 article that Jason puts out every week. And we are doing that once again this week. And so Tyler Atkinson is a part of it. Also, Jason, there was a nice hyphenated name in there. I love a good hyphenated name. Love it when the names get into, because then you can get into some nicknames. I guess this one would be BPW, Bryce Perry-Wright.
BPW, yeah, maybe.
A great name. And also a guy that is thought of really highly, if I'm seeing this correctly, number 3 D tackle in the whole country.
Yeah, number 45 nationally. You know, that was my first time to see Bryce Perry-Wright. You love those hyphenated names. Me, when I'm doing the written content, I'm like, damn it, I got to write 3 names every time well, I guess 2 names after the first reference. Every time I reference him, so I'm like, give me just a nice Smith, okay, where it's easy to type out. But no, yeah, I talked to Bryce, and I saw him down at the Navy All-American Bowl practices and during the game. He's intriguing to me because even down at that game, they had him sometimes playing end. Then they'd sometimes move him to, he can play inside at defensive tackle. He's not going to be a nose tackle where he's lined up directly over the center, but he goes 6'3". We've got him 260. When I saw him, I was like, okay, he's not as big as I thought. But then you see him move around. You're like, okay, this guy can do some things as a strong side defensive end. He's quick and powerful enough where he can line up inside the tackle box there for you. So really intriguing player. The thing that surprised me, and I did not know this was the first time I talked to him. I knew he had visited Texas. He couldn't even keep count. He said 3 or 4 times. He will be coming back, probably this spring and for an official visit. The thing that caught my eye when I was talking to him was, what do you like about Texas? Oh, my cousin Vernon Broughton goes there. And I'm like, what? Oh, I didn't know that. So yeah, we started talking about him, and he says, yeah, Vernon, and I see the progress Vernon's made, and he knew all the defensive linemen at Texas, so he's done his homework. Talked about Kenny Baker, of course, and Coach Baker wanting him there. And I asked him, I said, do you talk to Vernon about his experience? And he goes, yeah, actually, we talked quite a bit about it. And I said, what has Vernon told you about his time at Texas? And he just said, hey, man, I've stayed for a reason. I could have left and gone elsewhere, maybe tried my hand in the pros. Who knows? I mean, he is this year, obviously. But he said Vernon told him, I stayed at Texas for a reason. I could have left anytime I wanted and gone anywhere. But I stayed at Texas for a reason. I love it there, and the development and the people. So I thought that was interesting to hear, and I think it carries some weight with Bryce Perry-Wright. So, again, he's out of Georgia. He's at Buford, Georgia, another powerhouse program in Georgia. Schools like Georgia are going to be a factor. He's pretty open. Like if I pulled up my notes, and I don't have it. I mean, he listed a bunch of schools, but I mean, Texas is one. You got to just kind of pay attention to, the tea leaves, or as they say on Orange Bloods, the tree leaves, right? Because if a guy visits 3 or 4 times already, that shows you there's a legitimate interest there. So I think Texas is going to be a strong player in this one. Can they win out in the end? We're just in the beginning stages on some of these. But I think Texas will be a school as he kind of narrows that focus down and trims his list little by little. I think Texas stays in it till the end.
And that Vernon Broughton connection cannot hurt. We got some good connections to start. A teammate of a signee, and now you've got a relative of a guy that's that's obviously stayed at Texas. And that's a great point you bring up too. The full process for Broughton about what his mindset has been throughout, and how that could affect, a kid like this. That I would assume that helps Texas.
Yeah, I mean, it can't help. Vernon's had a great time and a great career. And I told Bryce Perry-Wright, I said, oh, man, I loved covering Vernon back when he was a recruit. And I said, I love his whole family. Like, his mom is, like, awesome. Yolanda Broughton, shout out to Yolanda. Love Yolanda, and just a great family. So I was like, man, if you're anything like the Broughtons, come on in. You'd be welcome with open arms in Austin. He did list Ohio State, Texas, Texas A&M, USC, Miami, Clemson, Georgia, Auburn as some of the schools that are standing out. So again, we're at the early stages here. He's going to have to kind of work his way through this process, but I think Texas will stay in that race for the long haul.
Yeah. And Jason, this is interesting. These two guys that we just talked about with connections in a way to Texas are both Georgia guys. So then for both of these guys, where would you put the Bulldog worry level for Longhorn fans? Because you're always going to have to consider Kirby and Georgia with guys like this, right?
Yeah, pretty high. But I mean, Texas went in last year and got Justice Terry, right? So, you know, Georgia's going to be a player, but I don't think either one, even before I saw him last week, and certainly after talking to him, I think they're both keeping a pretty open mind. It's a weird day in today's day and age. If let's say Bryce Perry-Wright really in his heart of heart wants to go to Georgia, but Southern Cal says, you know what, dude, we really need you. We're going to pay you X amount of dollars, $300,000 more than what Georgia's going to pay you. Well, he's probably going to USC. So there's a lot of ways that this thing can change. I think Georgia will be a factor. We know Georgia, doesn't mess around in NIL stuff, especially with in-state guys. But we've seen Texas go into Georgia before and pluck some pretty good players, including as recently as last cycle. Kenny Baker does a good job there. Tashard Choice does a really good job in the state of Georgia. So anytime you got Tashard Choice helping out, that's a positive development too.
All right, to Recruiting Hour on this Wednesday. We hope you're having a good week. Over 400 of you in the Specs chat. Let's give Specs a little bit of love. And they've been with us a long time on Orange Bloods Live. We appreciate them. If you've got a watch party planned for the championship game on Monday or the NFL playoffs in the divisional round, always such a great weekend. Specs can get you all stocked up. And if you don't know about the app, that's there too. Here's Lisa.
No matter what you're needing, Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets.
Yes, indeed. Also, we'll grab just a couple chats here to show you how it works. If you want to send us a super chat, it'll go right to the top of the list. If you want to throw something in the old tip jar, we appreciate it. Our man James says the bacon jam burger at Hay City is legit. Yeah, it is. It is. The burgers are.
I'm super hungry, so James, quit talking about that.
Yeah, they do multiple things with the bacon jam, James, and I've not tasted one that I didn't like. The burger, the pizza, they do a lot of good stuff out there with the bacon jam. It is great. And a couple other quick comments here. And Xavier's bringing up a positive story for the Longhorns. Yesterday, Michael Taft saying he's coming back. Does Taft staying affect players like Filsaime and others?
Yeah, I'm glad you put that one up. There were a couple that maybe I might put in a couple myself, but I don't think it's going to affect Xavier Filsaime. But there's a lot of chatter about Derek Williams possibly, and again, today's the day we'll have our answer, right? If these guys are going to enter the portal, so it could impact someone like that. But listen, man. What's it called? Bird in hand is better than two in the bush, right? Derek Williams is a fantastic player. Obviously, was playing well for Texas before the injury, but he is coming off an injury. Michael Taft's coming back is a big, big win for Texas. Could it have a ripple effect among one, maybe even a couple of defensive backs? Yeah, it could. I mean, and the Derek Williams talk was out there even before Taft made his announcement. We all kind of thought there was a good chance Taft was coming back. So none of these announcements, honestly, from Texas players, we can talk about them, none of them have been big shocks. I guess Jaden Blue was the one that kind of took me a little by surprise. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I knew it was a possibility, but I didn't really think it was maybe in his best interest. But yeah, we're keeping an eye on the Derek Williams situation to see if he jumps into the portal today.
Yeah. And again, we're talking to you on the Wednesday, and this is the last day for Texas, the 5-day window. Once you are out of the playoffs, you have that 5-day window for guys to get in the portal. We always say it. The portal windows are about getting in. You can get out whenever you want, but you got to get in during the windows. So that's why today is a bit of a nervous day for Longhorn fans, maybe Penn State fans as well. Although in Penn State's case, a lot of their big dogs did end up headed to the NFL, but a couple of them, quarterback and the running backs, have already said they're coming back. So maybe it's not as nervous a day for Penn State folks. We'll get back to the chats as we roll along today. We appreciate you being in there. If you want to throw in a question about Portal Day, we will get there right after we hit one more name on the recruiting side of things. Jason, I think we're coming back to the state of Texas on this one. Although I've made mistakes before where I see a word like Mansfield and it's like Mansfield, Illinois. Is this Mansfield, Texas?
Mansfield, Lake Ridge. Yes, this is Mansfield, Texas. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. Tell me about Felix Ojo.
Love Felix Ojo, man. Fun kid to cover. You know, and he just tweeted this last night, and I didn't know this, but he's still only 16 years old. So he's a junior in that 2026 class. So he's like when I graduated, I turned 18 in April. So like right before I graduated. So Felix, I don't know when his birthday is. I need to ask him, but he's either going to be 17 when he graduates next year. Well, if he graduates early, he'll definitely be 17. So, but he's a younger guy in his class. But Felix Ojo is the big offensive tackle. I say big, he's 6'7". We got him 280 pounds. He was down at the Navy All-American. Well, I've talked to Felix a bunch, but I got to see him down there and kind of watch him work, and he did really well. They had him playing at right tackle. And I like this about Felix. He's a nice kid. Like, we had him on the show, you'd be like, oh, man, he's a fun kid to talk to. But he's also confident. And he's got a bit of an edge to him when he gets on the field. He's like, no, I'm going to be the best lineman out here. I'm going to show you guys. But he's not a jerk about it. He's just confident. And he thinks he's good, and he is good. And he went out there and performed well. I talked to Felix. He's looking to hit some out-of-state places. Like, they got a couple weeks before that dead period hits. So I don't think he'll be at the Texas Junior Day on the 25th. He said, hey, if my schedule just works up and that day's available, yes, I'll probably come in. But he did tell me, let me pull up my notes here, make sure. He said he wants to get out to Ole Miss, Notre Dame, and Florida over the next few weeks. He said he wants to hit some schools he hasn't seen before. He mentioned Ole Miss, Michigan, Georgia, Texas, SMU, Oklahoma, Florida, and Southern Cal as some programs that are standing out there. I'm going to say this, like, I don't think it comes down to this, but keep an eye on Michigan and Ole Miss. He's really talking those two programs up. I mean, I think in the end it'll be, Michigan's always going to be a threat, but I think a school like Texas or some of these maybe closer to home schools. But he does really like Ole Miss and Michigan. He's intrigued by both of those schools right now. But he's a good-looking offensive lineman, obviously a good size at 6'7". They had him at right tackle. I think he could play on either side depending on how his body develops, and I want to see his footwork a little bit, but really good player, likes Texas quite a bit, spoke very highly of Kyle Flood and the Texas program, and he's been on campus a couple times at Texas already.
Yeah, and as we tell you all the time, check out orangebloods.com. Oh, it fits in nicely with our new graphic and everything. A lot of burnt orange there. Orangebloods.com every week, the 3-2-1 article. All three of the guys we talked about today, you can get extra info from Jason, quotes from those guys in many cases, and it's a great article every week. 3-2-1. It gets me updated on everything going on with recruiting, not just for this show, but with everything that's going on with Texas. So check that out. There's your QR code if you want to get right to orangebloods.com. Jason, before we kind of transition towards that portal discussion today, anything else recruiting wise? You briefly mentioned the Junior Day. I know that's coming up. Anything else recruiting wise on your brain today?
Yeah, I didn't put it in I'm going to be working the phones this afternoon, this evening, to try to start building up that list for Junior Day invites. So we'll start putting that together on Orange Bloods. I did talk to Jamarian Carlton, the big standout defensive end from Temple, Texas, that is, Chad, by the way. There
you go.
And he will be at that Junior Day on the 25th, and he's a guy that really likes Texas. Texas really likes him. Your Aggies, Chad, had a big Junior Day last weekend. They're going to have another one this weekend. So, we're always kind of keeping an eye on what's going on with schools like College State and College Station and Norman, Oklahoma. So, A&M's going to take its swing with 2 Junior Days, and then Texas has its crack after that. So it'll be interesting to see kind of the crossover, who visits both places, what do guys have to say about each visit. So we're really starting to hit the ground running with that 2026 class. Again, the month of February, other than that first weekend, is a dead period. So there won't be a lot of action there in terms of visits, but, they'll still be recruiting stuff to cover, albeit they'll still be the Under Armour camps in Dallas. There'll be some 7-on-7 stuff. So we're really starting to hit the ground running. Like I said, with that 2026 and 2027 group, should get interesting with these junior days, including the Texas one on the 25th.
There you go. We'll be keeping an eye on all of it, obviously. Thanks to y'all for jumping in the chat today. Also, thanks to our great partners at Orange Bloods Live, just like the good folks at AV Consultations. This one's simple. If you need a better screen, a bigger screen, more screens, the setup you've always wanted, this is the place. AV Consultations, 255-8678. Here's the way I've been framing it. They've been doing this since 1988. That's the last time Notre Dame won a national title. Lou Holtz, head coach, God's team, national title. That's when they started. That means they've been through all of the evolution of screen size. And remember how bulky and big and you used to have to put it into a wall? And now they're thin and they're lightweight. And you can throw 4 of them up at once. Get you a big 4x1 if you want. And make it 4 screens or just make it 1 screen for that championship game. That's the kind of stuff they can do for you. 255-8678 or go to avconsultations.com. Tell them you heard about it here on Orange Bloods Live and get that set up you've always wanted. Notre Dame and Ohio State coming up on Monday night, and coming up a little later, we'll tell you about our watch party because we are going to head back out to TCH for the championship game. So we do invite you to jump into the chat if you like. Jason, let's just get this one out of the way because one of the stories I saw yesterday wasn't about a Longhorn and whether or not he was into the portal. It was a Longhorn who had gotten into the portal, found a home, and then was out of that home. And that's Johntay Cook, who is now out at Washington. So our man Devin jumps in and says, Sark got a second chance. I think Sark needs to reach out to Johntay. Kid needs help. What's your thought on Cook at this point?
Disappointed. I'm really am, man. You know, I get to know not all these kids real well, but Jontay's a guy that I got to know pretty well in the recruiting process. Covered him for a long time. He was very engaged. He was very open. Yeah, just really it really makes me sad. It kind of does, man. I mean, I thought he would do good things at Texas. That didn't work out. He goes to Washington. I'm okay. Maybe he has his crap together and he flames out at Washington within, I don't even know, a couple of weeks. So we'll see where he lands now. But, Devin makes a good point. Sark got a second chance. Could he give Johntay one? Probably not. But I do think, based on what I know of Johntay Cook, I think there's a good kid in there. And I say kid, he's 20 years old now. I think there's some good in Johntay. I don't know if some things got to his head, if he just got around wrong people, started making bad decisions, but I've seen the good side of Johntay. I want to see Johntay do well. It just makes me sad, man, to see the way this is unfolding. I always say all these kids I cover, people are like, oh, you want these kids to go to Texas? I don't give a shit. I want a kid. I don't care if he goes to Oklahoma, A&M, Florida, Alaska, anywhere in between, right? I want kids to go and I want to see them be successful. That's still what I want for Johntay Cook. I just hate to see the way this thing is unfolding so far. I hope he gets things together and finds the right spot and gets things on track.
Yeah, I do too, Jason. We talked about him, on multiple levels. I think the word sad it's a good one. When I think of like Longhorn talent that didn't get there, Lavelle Pinckney's the first name that always pops into my head. So Johntay, don't make me think of that guy. Like, I don't want it to think of that level. Now it's different. Obviously, Pinckney got a career started and it just maybe didn't finish like we thought it could. And I don't know that Johntay Cook's quite that level of talent because Lavelle Pinckney might be the craziest freak I have ever seen on a football field in some ways. But back to Johntay himself, Jason, I'm with you. I love the attitude. I love the moxie. But we knew from day one that there was going to be something that needed to be balanced here. And I always go back to the 7-on-7 tournament that DeSoto won. I got to go to College Station and check out that final day of everything. I watched them win the championship. I watched him catch the ball to win the championship, and I fell in love with Johntay Cook. I'm like, oh, my God. Weisner's on that team as well. And I watched through it. But earlier in that tournament, he got thrown out of a 7-on-7 game for yelling at the opposing coaches. Like that happened. And so we kind of made a note of that, and we mentioned it to Texas fans along the way, of course, as, hey, okay, got to get that part figured out. But boy, if he can do it, if he can figure all that stuff, the talent is incredible. Maybe he just hadn't been able to figure out some of that type of stuff.
He's always had things he needed to rein in. I said it. He's always been kind of your typical wide receiver diva, but it's catching up to him now. Hey, Chad, a little bit of breaking news. Quinn Ewers has announced he is entering the NFL draft. We all expected that would be the case. I still think he's crazy for not taking, if these rumors were true, of $5 or $6 million. It's gonna be fascinating to see what happens with him in the draft. I mean, he could slide into the end of the first round, right? Or he could be a fourth round. I don't know what to make of it or what to expect. I mean, every time I look up, somebody's offering a wildly different opinion on where Quinn Ewers will be taken in the draft. So I don't know that anybody truly knows, but he has officially declared for the NFL draft.
There it is. Breaking news right in the middle of the recruiting hour today. That's why you follow us here at the Orange Bloods Live. We appreciate you. Like, subscribe, get those notifications. Quinn Ewers officially headed to the NFL. Now it's a matter of where's it going to be? Can he go to the combine? And Jason, it's about getting the attention after two guys. I don't think anybody's getting attention over Ward and Sanders. And it'll just be, I've seen mocks that go both ways, where Tennessee would get Ward and then it's Sanders going somewhere else. I've seen mocks where they take Sanders and then it's Ward that ends up going somewhere else. But after that, it falls off in terms of quarterbacks. I have not seen a mock draft that has 3 quarterbacks in the first round yet. I'm trying to think. I don't think I have.
I haven't looked at a lot of mock drafts, but everything I've looked at, and it's only a handful, it's usually you got your top 2, and then you're right. There's a lot of discrepancy on who's the third. I've seen Quinn. I've seen Jalen Milroe probably more than Quinn. You've got Jackson Darts in there, even the dude from Indiana. I mean, I don't know. It's going to be fascinating to me to see how this unfolds. And listen, I know Anwar and I don't agree, but I'm like, dude, it's simple financial decisions to me. If you're going to get $5 million from a college program, that's more than a top 10 pick in the draft is going to make. Go somewhere, take your $5 million, get your insurance policy in case something happens with your health. Go to Oregon, get developed, basically do what the Georgia quarterback's doing, going to Miami, do what Cam Ward did, work for those dudes. It worked for Bo Nix. So listen, I wish Quinn nothing but the best. I've said it before. I respect the hell out of the way he's handled himself under some tough situations at Texas. And I'm sure his advisors know more than I do, but just from a purely safe financial aspect, I don't know. I think it's a risky move, but hopefully it pays off for him.
Yeah. And again, Quinn Ewers declaring for the NFL draft. There's been talk, Jason, about Michael Penix and the money he's making. And I looked up his deal the other day. It can get really confusing because the official salary in the first year is $750,000. But he signed a $13 million signing bonus. So when you spread it all out, it's 5.7 a year, I think, for Michael Penix. So people have been bringing him up a little bit in terms of the comparison.
I don't think it's that high because I was looking I think it's 13 over 4 years or something, right?
Yeah. I saw one that averaged the whole contract out at about 5.7. That may have been, maybe that was incorrect. But I guess the other thing to me would be, it's that statement. And, I know it's been brought up many times. I know Anwar brings it up. He obviously, his path has felt like, I'm trying to get to the NFL as fast as I can. It didn't quite go as fast as it could.
I think that's part of it, honestly.
But now, because to me, it just boils down to, you can go one time through what just happened. But Jason, he knows what it means if he would try that again. I understand the money would be there, but he knows he can't wear burnt orange again. He knows he'd have to jump in the portal and go somewhere else. And he kind of knows what people would say. And then deep down in his soul, he's got to be thinking, oh, heaven help if I end up at a place and that place plays Texas. And I got to go head up with Arch on a field.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And Arch is wearing that uniform.
I think there's a lot of that goes into it. Listen, I mean, you'd have to swallow some pride, right? Didn't do what Carson Beck did, because you're basically saying, okay, I'm kind of admitting that for the second year in a row, I'm maybe not quite where I wanted to be NFL ready. You're also, Quinn loves the University of Texas. I don't think people give him enough credit for how much he loved being a Longhorn and loves the University of Texas and grew up with rooting for the University of Texas. If he goes somewhere else, he's risking alienating the Texas fan base, right?
Mm-hmm.
They may turn on him and say, nope, you deserted us. I mean, even though he probably wouldn't be coming back anyways, it's just he's kind of put in a rough situation. As good as Quinn is, as well as he has handled himself, the fact that he's got Arch Manning behind him, and it's no fault of Arch's. Arch is just who he is. He's a megastar, right? So that's just put Quinn in a really tough position where, if Arch wasn't there, people would probably be begging Quinn to come back to Texas for another year. People would be, I think the way people viewed Quinn's time at Texas would be much different. But the cards have just kind of fallen in a weird way for him that maybe going to the NFL is the best move, and it probably is. And when you add all of those things together, but in terms of pure financials, I don't know, man. I think I would have taken that, whatever, 5-6 mil, if that's true, and been like, you know what, I'll take my chances with one more year.
Yeah.
Then I go to the NFL and see how my career, and if it doesn't work out, I've got enough money. I never have to worry about money again.
And we'll see if Quinn Ewers ends up as maybe an early second round quarterback, or who knows, maybe somebody that needs a quarterback will not panic, but will want to move up into that late first round. And obviously, if you end up first round, money changes a little bit. That 5th year option comes in for the team if they want to creep into the first round. So something to keep an eye on. Quinn Ewers officially is now the one of those. There was a list of names that if you're a Longhorn fan, you'd see it and you'd go, yep, that makes sense. This was one of them. There's a little bit of that caveat, like Jason's saying, we had to wait officially, but now Quinn Ewers is headed to the NFL. If you have comments,
my question is, like, I'd love to have been a fly on the wall. He waited till 10:30 of the last day possible. Does that tell me that, okay, he was actually having conversations with colleges to see what was available? Or, I mean, why did he wait till the last day? I don't know. Was it just, he's a big announcement, he wanted to make a big splash? I don't know what the answer is, but I would love to know the true interdynamics of those conversations that he and his representation were having, and how tough of a decision was it? I'd love to know.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I mean, was he thinking of it as, hang back until the last day and let the Kelvin Banks announcement be out there, and let Jaden Blue be out there, and let the other guys have their moment, Matthew Golden and Bond and all of that. And then at the end,
he's a selfless enough guy. You might be right. He may have been like, you know what, I don't want to steal their thunder and step on their toes. Let them have their day, and then I'll do it, when the dust is settled there. I mean, he is that type of person. So.
Well, yeah, and this is also the day and age, Jason, where you probably do need to think about that. If you're those guys and you're all kind of connected in any way, either you think of it or your agents are thinking of it, like, fellas, let's just make sure we don't go at the same time, right? Like, let's not have Banks, Blue, and Quinn throw it out within like 3 minutes of each other. That would probably not be a good idea. So let's space it out. And it's okay, Kelvin, you go here. And then Jaden, you go here. I mean, maybe that was part of, and then somewhere in there, Michael Taft, whatever you're about to do, let's slide that in the day before Quinn. Okay, Taft coming back.
Yeah, Taft had his own moment last night. So it's probably all choreographed. You're probably right. So yeah.
It's a dance. It's a social media dance. That's what we're all trying to do, the social media dance in some way nowadays. If you want to throw in to the Specs chat, there are damn near 700 of you in there right now. I appreciate it. We appreciate it here at Orange Bloods Live. It is always good to see you. And we certainly have a lot to talk about today, even before Quinn Ewers declares for the NFL draft, but he has. So we'll continue to talk about that. Also, continue to talk about some of our great partners, like the great folks at Deep Eddy Vodka. How about that tasting room? It is ready for you. Well, come Thursday. We're here talking to you on a Wednesday. Make your plans. Thursdays, 12 to 7. Friday and Saturday, 11 to 7. Sunday, 12 to 5. They got happy hour stuff going on each day as well. So check into that. Go to deepeddyvodka.com. Just click on the QR code there. It'll get you right to it. These great cocktails. I have I think I've had a sip of every one of them, because I've got to do that for you. I have to taste test. I got to make sure it's quality product. And it is. Also, if you want to do a tasting, learn a little bit more about the history of Deep Eddy Vodka and which came first and what's the most popular flavor, all that is available to you as well. We did a tasting the last time we were out there, and it was a lot of fun. So if you get a chance, head on out to the Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. Tell them you heard about it on Orange Bloods Live. It is the recruiting hour.
This is, he reminded me. And you were right. So Michael Penix it's about 5.7. That's right. Average. Okay. So theoretically, this first year he made 5.7. I think he was the number 8 pick, something like that. He was top 10.
Somewhere in there, yeah.
So if Quinn, there was talk of Quinn making $6 million. So yeah, you guys are right. My head got jumbled there for a second, but I remember in my head thinking, okay, that's a little bit more than Michael Penix made. Now, if Quinn slides to the second round, you're talking, if my math may be fuzzy, but I think it was about 1.8 or lower per year salary. If he slides to the third round, it's even less than that, obviously. So, and who knows, man? All this talk of $6 million may have been, as Alex likes to say, cockamamie. I don't know.
Yeah.
But if some team was guaranteed to pay him $6 million, as was discussed, he turned down a lot of money. But we'll see. It's going to be fascinating to me to see how it all unfolds. And the other side of that, Chad, is he's been making a lot of money since the day he went to Ohio State, right? So it's not like Quinn's sitting here scraping for, table scraps, right? So it's not like he's hurting either way, but whatever. I hope it works out for him. I hope he has a successful career. Some people have said, hey, who knows? Maybe the Steelers draft him late first round. Hey, Lord knows Steelers could certainly use a quarterback. I don't know that they'll go that direction in the draft this year, but they could certainly use a quarterback. Someone mentioned the Rams. Like, that would be a great fit because you slide in, you get to sit behind Stafford. That offense seems like a perfect fit. So, it's going to be really fun to see how this unfolds, and frankly, over the next 2 or 3 years, how it unfolds.
I really like the Rams idea too. That could be interesting. And then, as Alex Dunlap has pointed out, every time Alex goes to practice and watches Quinn, he always sends a message to our group like, God, he looks great in practice. Man, he looks good.
Yeah, he will win the pro day and the combine and that kind of stuff. Absolutely. He'll do fantastic in those things. There's
sequencing at the combine that's going to be really good for Quinn. They've added things for the quarterbacks, Jason, that they didn't used to pay attention to, but they've added like shorter throws, more mid-range throws. That's the stuff Quinn's going to do great on. The kind of that 15-yard out they make him throw and things like that. But it's that bomb drill that's going to be interesting to watch for a lot of people. That's where we'll all kind of be like, all right, 3, here it is. Because
it's a little easier in the combine setting because those guys can slow down or, if they need to. Whereas when you've got someone draped over your defender, you've got to be on point. Josh, you guys are missing my point. He says, I'd rather have 15 to 20 over 4 years. Quinn's not getting 15 to 20 over 4 years unless he's a top 10 draft pick. So that's my point. It's just bad. I mean, to me, the finances don't make sense, but whatever. It's Quinn's decision. And who knows, maybe in the long run, I just don't think setting him back 1 year, people are like, oh, that's, I don't think that changes much. I mean, he may have gone to Oregon or somewhere and improved his draft stock. Where then he is a top 10 pick next year. Then it's a big mistake. But there are a lot of unknowns. We'll never know what would have happened if he had stayed in college for another year. But the injury concerns, all that stuff, I get it. There's a lot of give and pull, a lot of tug both ways. It could make sense.
By the way, one of our favorites, South End Zone Queen, jumps in and wants y'all all to check out the video that Quinn sent.
Yeah, it's on his Instagram feed. I haven't seen it. I've seen that he posted, but I haven't watched it yet. Obviously.
Gives him some love, Longhorn legend. And then right after that, South End Zone Queen says, number 16 era starts now. # Arch Madness. Yeah, Jason, yesterday we were doing the modcast, and one of the things I didn't have time for, we were kind of, cramped at the end a little bit there, and we needed to get out. But I was thinking, man, I want to ask these guys at some point because, Anwar covers the team. I'm not sure if Anwar would say he's a Texas fan, but I know you and Alex are. And I was looking at you guys and I thought, I wonder how excited they are for Arch. Like, Arch Manning is the quarterback, not just the quarterback you're getting to cover, but he's the quarterback of your team. And now we knew there was going to be a moment when that was official. Maybe you say it's when the workouts begin. Maybe it's when spring practice begins, but some might say it's today, just like South End Zone Quinn thought of it that way. The moment Quinn says, I'm going to go hang with Roger in the Shield, at that point, it's like, oh, okay. The Arch Manning time at Texas as the dude just started.
Yeah, I think about 15 minutes ago, I think is when you probably officially can turn the page. I mean,
Yeah.
you see South End Zone Queen, a lot of other people probably feel the same way. See, I don't view myself as a fan. Like, I went to the University of Texas. I was a fan when I was in college. This job sucks the fandom out of you. It just does, man. And we've got to try to be objective. I'm a fan now in that when Texas does well, it makes my job more enjoyable, right? The message board is more enjoyable. People are happy. People are coming out to the watch party. But I don't get upset about wins and losses. But I tell you what, it's made me a much bigger NFL fan. I've always been a big Steelers fan, but it's taken my NFL fandom to a whole other level because it's funny you mentioned, I was talking to a guy last night and he's in construction. Okay. He was just saying, I said, "Hey, how you doing, man? I haven't seen you in a long time." We were talking. He goes, "Yeah, man, things are good." He goes, "I just hate my job." And I go, "But dude, everybody, if it's a job, you're going to have your complaints." I said, "Listen, I love my job, but it's still a job." And I was telling him it's kind of sucked the fandom out of it for me. So it's a weird position to be in. I remember one time somebody sent me an email and said there was a Pittsburgh Steelers publication that was looking for like the main writer. I'm like, "No, I'm not going to do that," because then Sundays become, it's a work day and everything else. So it's a weird dynamic. We love our jobs, but it definitely changes your perception of things for sure.
Can affect the fandom. South End Zone Queen, we appreciate you jumping in. And yes, if you want to look at it that way, the Arch era, Arch Madness might have officially begun today. And certainly you wish Quinn all the best for what he did, because, once time goes by, Jason, I think, even if there's a Texas fan right now that's a little boiled over with some of the things with Quinn, I mean, you look at some of the stuff that's on that resume, and I'll argue that I understand the Ohio State game did not go the way Quinn or any Texas fan wanted it to go, but I'm not going to look back at that game and say Quinn Ewers is the reason they lost.
Right.
Like, there's other stuff being talked about. There's a defensive scheme issue. There's an offensive scheme thing to talk about. But, like, once Jack Sawyer has destroyed your right tackle by that degree, like, are we all – I didn't hear anybody saying, well, you know what Quinn's got to do there. Like, that wasn't really what that play was about.
Gonna turn into Lamar Jackson. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like, well, you got to be Michael Vick. Okay, well, maybe. Or maybe you got to be Ben Roethlisberger in his prime. And somehow
have guys hanging up. Yeah.
Right. Somehow shake that up. You just be Cam Newton. That's all you have to do. Be Cam Newton. Oh, is that all I have to do?
Everybody loves Arch just in his personality, his name, his talent. If Texas goes 8-4 next year or something crazy, which isn't, I mean, there are a lot of unknowns with this team. I mean, people are going to be like, "Man, I missed the Quinn Ewers days." So Quinn's going to be like, damn it. That's what I've been saying.
Yeah. His crimes this year were not being as good as Georgia twice and Ohio State once.
Yeah.
Those are
like you said, and it's not even, those aren't all on him even. Right.
No. Yeah. I didn't, I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't anything on him. Right. He would tell you they're all on him probably. He would tell you, "No, fellas, I needed to play better 3 times and we probably win those games." But we get the point, and hopefully it will show in history. Ted's just saying Quinn will be the 3rd best quarterback in Longhorn history.
That's where he'd be slotted now, but you got a good, hey, Arch Manning may change that script over the next couple of years. So,
that's true.
We'll see.
That is true. Longhorn fans, enjoy it. Enjoy every bit of Arch Manning. Just like we told you to enjoy every bit of whatever this last year was. I know some of you did, and then some of you maybe had a little madness through the whole thing. It was weird. It was weird and unique, and now you have at least gotten through this part of it. Now it's about dealing with, obviously, the Arch Manning time at Texas. So, again, the big story of the day is that Quinn ends up heading to the NFL draft. We'll talk about the other part of today coming up, because I think it is a critical element of what's coming up. But first, let me hit you with another one of our great partners. It's one of my favorites, and I say favorites because it's the one that makes sure I'm breathing well. It is Sinus and Snoring Specialist. And what I'm going to do for you today, I'm going to show you something just to get you a little reminder. I'm going to share a screen here. I think if I can do it. Old man trying to share a screen. Yeah, this is sinussnoringent.com. This is where I tell you to go. So if you want to go in there and check them out, And this is the website I tell you to go to. So I'm going to click on snoring treatments, and you can go in and watch some videos, look at some information. But look down here on the right-hand side. Just want to show you. See there? YouTube, Chad Hastings, Orange Bloods, House Divided. Look at that right there. Make sure you let them know when they ask how you heard about it. Make sure you let them know you heard about it right here on Orange Bloods Live, House Divided. Today it's the recruiting hour, but I've been talking about sinus and snoring the whole time I've been on Orange Bloods Live, and they can do so many good things for you. So go check that website out. This is the QR code that you can scan to get there, or you just call 601-0303. Sinus and snoring specialist. Feel clear, rested, and healthy. And we hope everybody is feeling nice and healthy today. I mentioned sinus and snoring yesterday, and Alex talked about a friend of his that has the Inspire technology, which I'll admit, when I hear it described as an old man, I'm like, what? You're doing what? But it's really successful for a lot of people. And that's what I love about sinus and snoring. They have the very latest stuff in ear, nose, and throat. Some of it's not going to work for you, but there's going to be something that does. They'll figure out what that is. All right. So if you want to jump in the chat, it is a big day for Texas. Not only does the Arch Manning era officially begin, if you want to look at it that way, Quinn has declared for the draft. But Jason, by the end of today, there's this weird little door that's going to close because it is the 5-day portal. And as I understand it, I guess it's midnight tonight that players, have to get in.
I would assume. I don't know.
So I've sensed from the fan base and from some of the folks that I deal with, I've sensed this nervousness about today. Like, okay, not just the guys that we think could go to the NFL, but could it be others? Are you hearing anything about, I don't know, UT starters that for next year that Texas fans are counting on that may be listening to portal discussions?
Yeah, it's been discussed. And if you pay attention to social media activity from some of these players, they'll drop cues. I'm not going to sit here and drag names
right
through the mud, but I mean, it's pretty out there if some of the guys that you're paying attention to. And that's fine, and yes, the Quinn Ewers news is big, and obviously Kelvin Banks and Gunnar Helm, so on and so forth. Those were expected, but is there going to be a surprise that maybe the random fan might be like, whoa, I was not expecting that? I think there's a good chance of that. Now, the other thing, Chad, that I don't think people are fully aware of, there are players, multiple players, where other schools are, I don't know how to call it, but they're basically just tampering. And they're trying to say, hey, you come here, we're going to give you this amount of dollars. I'm talking 7 figures on some guys.
Right.
So, Texas is having to combat that too. I wrote about it in my 3-2-1. I said, it's as important or more important to keep your current roster. Everybody, when you think of portal, you think, oh, who are we going to get out of the portal? Well, it's almost more important who you're going to prevent from your team from going into the portal. The guys that have gone into the portal from Texas, that's fine. Texas is like, hey, they probably suggested it. Hey, you might want to go try your hand elsewhere. But there are guys on the Texas roster that Texas is still working to keep out of the portal. Now, I think everything's been fine. I think it's been smoothed over. And no, Colin Simmons wasn't one of them. We saw Colin Simmons put on Instagram last night, I'll be back. But, there are it's just the world we live in, man. It's the world we live in college football till they put some kind of regulations that if you're a young up-and-coming player, you're going to have teams reaching out to you or your agent or just people in your circle to say, hey, why don't you call us up and maybe get on that portal and we'll give you a better deal than what your current school is going to give you. So I hate it as an old man. I'm all for players getting paid, but I don't know. They've got to put some kind of regulations in. It is truly the wild, wild west. And you know what? And if the guy says, nope, not interested, I'm saying at Texas, it could all happen again in April. They could make those calls again in April and try to get them to do the same thing in April. So, weird deal. So let's just get through today. If you're a Texas fan, not have any catastrophic news come out that's totally unexpected. I don't think you will. I'm not saying that because I'm concerned that that's an issue for Texas. I'm just telling you other programs have put feelers out there to some guys.
Yep. And of course, getting into the portal, you can come back out of the portal. We've seen that happen many times, but it is a worrisome thing for fans. So we certainly understand that. Yes. And congrats to Colin Simmons. Did I see another All-American? Was it?
Yeah. He, yes, I don't remember which one it was, but he did get another All-American honor yesterday.
Football Writers, I want to say, gave him an All-American nod. That was very cool to see. Colin Simmons and Anthony Hill playing together again for Texas. I know Texas fans are really excited about those zeros and ones out on the field with those two.
Yeah, we're still waiting for Trey Moore. That's one we're still waiting on. So.
Oh yeah, that's true. That'd be interesting if he came back.
My gut tells me that he is, but we haven't seen an announcement yet, so we're still waiting for that.
That would be a chance to really come back. Not that he didn't make an impact this year, but even more of an impact next year and be one of those.
He really came on kind of the second half of this after a slow start. He did really come on in the second half of the season. So.
Could be one of the big dogs on that defense if he comes back. If you want to squeeze in a super chat before we wrap up, you can do that. I got a buy or sell for Jason as well, since we're doing a combo today of recruiting hour and house divided type stuff. Also, in that regard, and of course, recruiting hour is every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Let me also throw up a little house divided for you here, because you see Texas Card House. That is the sponsor of the House Divided each and every day. Again, Cat's dealing with some business today. We won't have a specific House Divided today, but we did want to give that sponsor a little love, because Texas Card House has decided that we're headed back out to TCH Social Austin again. And this time it's so the whole OB crew can show up and watch the championship game. Obviously, we wish we were watching Texas in the game, but you got to go with the hand you're dealt sometimes. So we're going to head on out there, and they're going to crank those specials up again. $1 draft, $2 jellyfish. It'll start at 5:30 because it's a 6:30 game again. We threw those two running backs up for you because, Henderson and Love will be a part of it. Let's show you that big screen again. This is the big, beautiful screen we watch on. I did have the salmon last time. I did have the bad beat bacon because I can't go without having the bad beat bacon. And I had one of those jellyfish on the right-hand side too. $1 draft, $2 jellyfish from 5:30 until an hour after the game. It's just an incredible deal that they've been running for us. So we appreciate them at TCH Social Austin. Get out there. Come see us on Monday night. Anwar is going to be able to make it, which hasn't been the case because he's always on site. Jason and I'll be there like we've been. I think Catch may be coming into town as well. Alex Dunlap's going to try to get over there. So, Jason, it could just be the whole Orange Bloods crew. People are always asking about you guys. Every time I go somewhere, it's like they're mildly happy to see me, but they want, where's Jason and Alex and Anwar and Catch? All four of you could be in a room. The Modcast could be together in a room. That doesn't happen very often.
Alcohol flowing too, so
right? You could get an alcohol-infused Modcast.
You might get some real scoop out of us on that night. Yeah.
Come on, man. Also, a reminder, if you are an online poker player, online poker's back, gang. If you're in the state of Texas, you love your online poker, you go to hijackpoker.com, get the app, put it wherever you want, put it on any device. Use that code OB20 through the end of January. You'll get $20 in free play. And this, again, for all of you in the state of Texas, this is Texas Card House and their online poker app. They obviously want you to come out to their locations if you can, but, can't do that. Just head on over to hijackpoker.com. You can play wherever you like. All right. Thanks to TCH Social Austin for having us out once again. This is the Recruiting Hour brought to you by Longhorn Wealth Management Group. We'll tell you about them one more time before we get out. But before that, Jason, I do have a quick batch of buy or sell for you. Are you prepared? Are you ready?
Prepared? No. Ready? Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, no one's ever really ready for buy or sell, but let's get to it. All right. We'll get you on record on this one. I haven't heard a lot of people give their opinions. Buy or sell number one. You think Sark will say no to NFL interviews this time around?
I've heard kind of conflicting rumor mill stuff there. So I'm a little nervous on this answer, but I'm going to buy. I just think Sark's happy at Texas. I don't think this is the time where he's going to want to leave with Arch coming in, back-to-back college football playoff semifinal appearances. but I don't feel 100% confident about that. I mean, I've heard some chatter that there might be some interest there, but again, it's all grapevine talk. Who knows what to believe at this point? But I'm going to buy. I think he's going to stay at Texas. I think he'll say no to the interviews.
Yeah, I'd start saying no to those interviews after Arch Manning leaves. I think that's probably about the time. I would be so interested in coaching Arch Manning. I would say no to, especially those NFL teams. I'd say no. I would say no right now. All right, Jason, how about
next year after Pittsburgh fires Mike Tomlin?
That's when you'll be interested, right? Just wait till that happens. Buy or sell number 2. Johntay Cook will not find Power 4 success.
I'm going to buy that. I think he's going to have to go to a smaller school at this point. I mean, if you're asking me this year, I'll buy. I mean, could he go somewhere small and then portal again to a bigger school? Absolutely. But yeah, I'm going to buy that. The trajectory is not good. So I'll buy that.
Yeah, I hope it's a sell, but I think it's a buy as well. Let's go to the NFL real quick, Jason. Buy or sell number 3. Ravens win in Buffalo.
Dude, that might be the super. I mean, obviously there are 2 AFC teams, but that might be the Super Bowl matchup right there, right? I mean, Kansas City, how thankful are they that they don't have to go through both those teams? Yeah. Man, they both looked fantastic last week. I'm going to buy that Ravens team. As much as I hate them, they are playing some good football. Their defense has turned it around. Lamar Jackson is out of his mind. Derrick Henry. I don't know what Zay Flowers' health is. He didn't play last week against the Steelers. Didn't matter, obviously. But I'm going to buy that, man. That Ravens team seems like they're on a mission.
Yeah, that's going to be a wild game. And Ben, if you're the Chiefs, you hope for 48-45 in 7 overtimes.
Yeah, that's a lot of bumps and bruises too.
Yeah, lots of bumps and bruises. All right, for these last 2, Jason, I got a little weird with some birthdays, but I want to see what you do here. Buy or sell number 4. Randy White is 72 years old today. Even as a Steelers fan, you can tell me where he went to college.
Sell, but probably when you say it, I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, that's right. But no, I don't. Off the top of my head, I can't.
The Manster, Randy White. Interestingly enough, born in Pittsburgh, so a Pennsylvania boy, but he went to Maryland.
Oh, no, I would have never got that.
Yeah, kind of a strange one there, but Maryland for Randy White. Happy birthday to the Manster. And finally, Jason, I have a thought experiment for you and any Longhorn fan watching. It popped in my head when I saw this one. Buy or sell number 5. Drew Brees, 46 today. Let that one sink into your minds, old people. From 1990 to now, Jason, if you could have Texas get one of the quarterbacks that got away, you'd pick Drew.
I'm trying to think, like, what other big names would have been that got away? Stafford.
Do you want Drew up? I hadn't thought of Stafford. What about Andrew Luck? Do you consider Manziel in the category? What about RG3? Drew is obviously one. So out of the group of guys, Texas fans will always say, man, how did we not?
I'm going to, Drew's so good, but I'm going to sell because I'd probably go Andrew Luck of that group.
Right.
But I don't know, man. Drew is so, listen, the things he did in the NFL are just amazing too. And he was such a good college player. So he'd be near the top of that list, but I'd probably go Andrew Luck.
Gotcha. Yeah, you'd be one of those Longhorn fans that would say, you didn't talk to him at a junior day? Go talk to him at a junior day. Just go ahead and, happy birthday to Drew. 46 today. That doesn't make me feel old.
I know. That's when you read that, I was like, oh, damn, I really feel old.
Yeah. 46? Really? Yeah, that is insane. All right. We are glad you guys jumped in today. It's been a busy day here on the show. Recruiting hour, house divided, kind of a combo show today. And Quinn Ewers officially declares for the NFL draft today. As we get ready to wrap up, let's tell you about our great sponsor, Longhorn Wealth Management Group. We'll throw John's picture and that other Longhorns picture up for you again. And John is really happy to be the sponsor of the Recruiting Hour. We're glad to have him. John has served for 15 years as a Dallas Texas Ex's board member, and now he's helping lead the build out in the Collin County Texas Ex's chapter. And of course, today's the last day to declare for the NFL or the portal. John is hoping the Longhorns don't lose certain players to the portal and wishing those well going to the NFL. But he's hoping everything ends up, pretty good by the end of the day. Also hoping that Texas can grab a few out of the portal if they need to restock that too deep. And speaking of taking stock for the future, see what John did there? Wants to help all Orange Bloods fans take stock of their financial future by offering everyone the gift of that free 90-minute private consultation. So learn how your certified financial planner like John could help you identify the best financial strategies and solutions available to jumpstart your financial future in 2025. Call John and the Longhorn Wealth team at 972-707-4900 or go online to longhornwealth.net to schedule your free private consultation today. And John sends along a big hook 'em. He's got his fingers crossed just like all of y'all do that you don't lose starters for next year into the portal, or maybe if they get into the portal, that they eventually come back out of the portal after money discussions or whatever needs to happen. Thanks to John and the crew at Longhorn Wealth Management Group for being a great partner here on the Recruiting Hour. Jason, anything else before we shut it off?
No, I think we've covered pretty much everything I can think of.
Yeah, a lot of stuff today, including Quinn Ewers headed to the NFL. More on that coming up today, I'm sure, on Football with Friends. We'll definitely discuss it on The Outsiders tonight. We'll do the Wednesday show. We'll pick all those NFL games and the championship game. And all you have to do is pick 3 of those 5 games. If you pick them right, you get the poncho shirt of your choice. Come on into The Outsiders tonight. We'll tell you about all that. That's at 8:30 tonight on a Wednesday. You got Old Fashioned tomorrow at 9, and then tomorrow at 10, it is the last Prize Pick show of the football season. Don't cry. I know. We've tried to get them to go 52 weeks. Maybe one day we will, but it's the last Prize Pick show for the football season tomorrow at 10. But Prize Picks never stops, just like recruiting. So you can always check out Prize Picks. But the Prize Picks show will be tomorrow.
I was doing Prize Picks hoops entries, even hockey entries last night, Chad. And I went 3 for 3. So come on.
Now you tell me, because I haven't looked yet. Jason, can I get in on a little TGL on Prize Picks? Are they doing the indoor golf on Prize Picks?
I don't know about that. I have not looked at that. I don't know the answer to that. So
I don't know.
That's even beyond my scope of wagering. Yeah,
I don't know what this says about me, Jason, but I peeked in on the first one to kind of see what it was. And I will watch Tiger Woods swing a golf club anywhere. I learned that last night. Now, his team got smashed last night, so I kind of fast-forwarded through it. I'd recorded it, but I tuned in. To check it out. The presentation, it's interesting. It's crazy technology. It's fast. It moves pretty quickly. They roll it out in about 2 hours. So I checked it out. I'm kind of into the TGL. Who knew? All right. That'll do it for us today. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and getting those notifications. Thank you for supporting us here at Orange Bloods Live. Until next Wednesday at 10 for the next Recruiting Hour. He's Jason, and I'm Chad, and it's Orange Bloods Live. Y'all take